So, good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's spring. What do you think of that, Jim? It's spring. Yesterday was the first day of spring, and we're all in this area. We're all getting ready for spring here. So, good morning. Melinda's not going to be with us this morning because she's traveling, and really looking forward to Susan doing her work on fitting in, pouring out, and relating in a different way this morning. And Yoka, thank you for being the consultant on this. And we're going to have a kind of surprise, a surprise exploration of not standing it. I can't stand it, and standing it. And we're going to do it in a whole body focusing kind of way, at least for part of it. So I just wanted to say to you, this is a secret that we're going to tell everybody, but a secret that I'm going to tell you first. Next Monday is the 28th, and it's Melinda's birthday. And so we're going to have a birthday party for Melinda next Monday, and celebrate Melinda's birthday, and talk about what birthdays mean to us and anniversaries. And I think it will be a very rich exploration because that's so personal. It's like the most personal anniversary in a certain way is our birthday. And what is a day of birth, and what is rebirth, and all of that. So we're going to be exploring spring and birth and rebirth and birthdays next Monday. So let everybody know about that. And I think it's a good follow-up to standing it, right? Some of us have to stand our birthdays.
Exactly.
Okay. Any announcements that anybody has before we begin? Christine, are you ready? We're all being recorded.
Okay.
I don't think that Susan needs any introduction, except the fact that this paper written by Jean was really written by Susan.
Oh,
but it was the Susan part of Jean that wrote this paper, fitting in, pouring out, and relating. And if there is anybody who hasn't read that paper, it's on the TIFI Jean library. It's an unpublished paper, and it will be a real pleasure for you to read it. Okay, Susan, you're on.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. First of all, hello to everybody, and been looking at faces I know, dear friends, and some I know less well, but I recognize just about everybody, which is great. Thanks for coming. Now, this paper, is there any, I'm wondering, I'm assuming that maybe 3/4 of you have either read it, is that right, or heard about it?
Let's do a show of hands. It would be interesting.
Just read it.
All the people who read it.
And Dorothy, and Vivian, Lynn. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about it, and there'll be some review for some of you. But we ran across this phrase, standing it. I think Lynn said, how about doing something on standing it and this paper? And it just struck me that it's such an evocative phrase. You know, it's so physical. And I was talking to Yoka, and she was saying to me, oh, you know, how about not standing it? There are so many things happening now. You can't stand this, and I mean, people are always saying, I can't stand the pandemic going on any longer. Can't stand, I can't take what's going on, or my mother-in-law, or very serious things, the Ukraine. So I think we're filled with that experience of not standing it. I'm going to very briefly tell you one of mine, but maybe we can all take those words in, not or can't stand it, take them into our bodies for a minute and see what comes. Some sort of visceral feeling, maybe a memory as well. And if there's anybody who would like to share just briefly, to give us a sense of the not standing it and how powerful that is.
Susan, you mean how it feels in the body when I think of something that I can't?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
just what came.
Yeah, well, no, what came here is I have a reaction of like anger, like, or something like really powerful across the chest with a root down to the bottom of my belly, but it's like from here.
Yeah. Wow. Anybody else? June.
I have a physical, well, it reminds me of being a kid and left in the house alone, and I felt like a prisoner there.
Oh.
And, the body sensation is just being compressed.
Yes.
Instead of free.
Yes. Yes, I can feel that myself, as you say. I was at the airport yesterday. I was coming home from Atlanta, and the security line, sometimes they divide you into 2 or 3. We had 3 lines, and it seemed to take forever. I was very worried that I'm going to miss my plane. And I saw a line next to me, looked like they got special treatment because it was moving faster than my line. And I was thinking, oh, so again, I'm the one, I get the little part of the loaf. And I felt competitive, and I could feel the muscles in my calves straining to move, to walk, and a tightness in here. So, it's having trouble standing it. And of course, I'm in New York. I got the flight. There was really no problem. It's just a little thing, but I think we're constantly hardly able to stand it in our lives, the frustrations, or what we take as how frustrated we become. But things don't go our way most of the time, these little things. Somebody cuts in front of you in line. Okay, so we'll get to standing it soon, but I'm just going to give a quick review of Gendlin's concepts in this paper. So he really does work with not standing it. And he talks about the center of the paper is really how we get along or we don't get along with other people. And that a typical response is to say you're trying to discuss something and the other person has a totally different point of view, and it's hard to stand. And one's own reaction is often to push and to kind of pour out on the other person to get them to, think the way you do, or get that line to move, damn it. So it's got that feel of a force pouring out. It can be lashing out, takes different forms. Or a person can shrink the other way, withdraw, try to fit in. So nobody knows that you don't agree at all with what the person's saying, but it's a yes, yes, a nodding, where the real self goes someplace else, is deadened. And they're almost two opposite reactions, but neither one of those, Gendlin says, is relating. And this is what we are evolving towards, he says. It's not something we've got, but we're learning slowly, and it's very difficult. And we fall on our faces. But like a kid who's learning to walk and falls down, we get up again and we fall down and again. Now, I would say that relating it is kind of, we learn to stand it. Just to stand it. And this is what we're going to work with right now. The standing it or the relating is really from a place, I would say, of equanimity, not easy to get to, a place where all possibilities are contained, but nothing is acted out. There's a being able to listen. That's one of the characteristics to the other person and to oneself, to what's happening within oneself. There's an interest, a curiosity in what the other person is getting at. And there's space for that. So it's not like, oh, I've got to get them to see my point of view, and you're waiting until they stop so you could pour out. It's really an attitude. Sometimes it's possible, I find. Other times it seems impossible. And I feel I know what I should do, because in this article, Gendlin talks about you listen, you say in small bits what you have to say so the other person's not overwhelmed, and you check to make sure the other person heard what you think you're saying. So often what we think we say is very different from what the other person makes of it, what they get. But it can be really hard, I find, in the thick of a really tough argument, or where it feels where what you believe is really at stake. And then one tends to pour out or withdraw. And they're very, very different body feelings. Maybe we're going to work with, I would say, with all of them, with what comes up in us, but maybe just to dip in a little bit to the feeling of standing it. Let's just focus very briefly on it. This phrase, does anything come to you of image, phrase, inside feeling? You think of standing it, maybe a picture, You notice your breathing, might have a response through breathing. Would anybody be willing just to share very briefly? Can even maybe an experience came for you of standing it?
I have something.
Who's talking?
It's Gray.
Hi, Gray. Yeah, please.
Hi. Yeah, I got a very strong image of a torch burning in my chest
Mm,
and a building up and building up and building up of energy and just containing it. But the energy keeps, like building, seeking release, but I can
Yeah.
contain it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it feels very life-giving too, as fire, warmth. And in your chest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I get an image of a tree with deep roots, one of these large trees that has limbs that extend, very bountiful, strong, and supple, that can carry a lot. Well, it's someone else want to talk or not?
I had the image of the pandemic 2 years ago when it, and the feeling of, oh, just the chaos year and being afraid to go to the grocery store, and the mask was so new and the world had gone crazy, and the not being able to stand it. And then the feeling of Melinda and I starting this project and all of us appearing together. The feeling of seeing all of you 2 years ago when we were first starting and sort of standing it together. And the feeling was of not being alone and being even across so many miles, being in connection, and like we were going to stand it together. The project was helping us.
It's stand with each other.
Right. Standing with each other, right, helps us to stand it.
Yeah. So I wanted to do an exercise of movement where what we'd be working with is these 3 different states, or maybe variations of not standing, pouring out, or fitting in, or somehow working one's way to standing it. So in this exercise, it's just where movement will be possible. You don't have to move. We'll probably stand because this is about standing, but you don't have to stand. You can sit. So we can be, exactly who we are, be the way we need to be. But we're going to imagine encountering something that we don't like, that we have to stand, or that we can't stand, and see what comes within the body and what sort of movement, if any, it brings. So I'm gonna stand. Like Patricia, yoga. Let's see, I guess I have to move back. So let's find our feet. Remembering we have feet to stand on, to stand with, and feeling the connection with the floor, with the earth. Finding our balance. You may want to let yourself sway a little bit, just to find a place that feels right to be in. Noticing your breathing, letting it help you to stand. Just coming into your body. Letting your arms move if they want to. Yourself, if you want to, if it feels right. Maybe some of the feeling of standing it, where you have possibilities. Now, just let yourself imagine something you don't want to come up in you. Can be anything. Be a word, a person, an event, as long as it's a not wanted thing that you have a reaction to. Let yourself, if you can, be free enough to respond with your body and to sense how you feel inside. Notice any thoughts you have about yourself, the other people, or the event. And I'll be quiet now, and you just allow yourself to, come up against that unwantedness. See if you have a tendency to want to push it away or to withdraw from it. And invite yourself now to see if there's any part of you that would like to have more freedom, more space, that would like a different relationship with this not wanted something. And experiment a little bit. If you can find that, just some that makes more ease. But we could say is a better way of standing it. It's a more livable way. Notice any thoughts and feelings you have now. And it's fine. Whatever happens, there's no should. Has your relationship to standing changed at all? I think mine has. Then you can gradually bring this to a close. Sit down. Come back together. So I'm really interested in what people experienced. Would anybody dare to share or be so good as to share what it was like if you had, when this unwanted something came up? What did your body, what was your, the first reaction? I'm wondering if it was more like making yourself small or trying to push it away.
So I'll go.
Yeah, please.
So I have a question. Are we going to have breakout rooms today for this or not?
Yes.
We'll have breakout
Oh.
room.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. So I want to say, although I would have liked something small to show itself, it wasn't. So, and it's something that happened last night. And so I'm not going to go into details, but I'm struggling with both, like that both can be there. So there's a part of me, a big part that's in the pouring out with this energy that although I tried to take in Gray's torch, I couldn't contain it. I was just going like this. And at the same time, the fitting in, because if I think of the person, then I would tend to try to not say anything, and my body would withdraw and curl in and be silent about it. And this other part wants to be vocal and speak the truth about it. So I was holding both. And so when I'm trying to do the the standing, it's like, I'm not there yet. This,
Yeah.
the pouring out voice needs a safe space to be able to pour out. And I did, you know, every once in a while have that image of this guardian angel taking care, because she's little. The one that was flashing the grace torch around was a little girl with this big torch trying to contain herself.
Wow.
So it was all of that. But that
Yeah.
guardian angel is trying to hold this little one.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, it seems like all of that
all of
came.
that.
I mean, the pouring out impulse, the protective shrinking, and somehow a sense that you were held, which I think of a little bit as towards, maybe we could talk about towards standing it.
Towards
I think these are distinct states, right? I mean, everything is moving, is process. It's not that suddenly I can stand it. I didn't stand it before. I think things are more fluid and mixed. And your experience sounds like that.
Yes, and I just want to add one thing, because the famous critical voice showed itself too, to say
Ah,
that it wasn't okay for me to be pouring out, to have that kind of energy that's a pouring out energy. I should be, you know, advanced in my process. And I
yeah,
should be, you know, able to get to that relating with deep listening,
yeah,
with all that I know now.
yeah. That doesn't help too much, does it?
No, thank you.
But yeah, Lynn was nodding.
Yeah, I was struck by how sometimes the safe pouring out is going toward the standing it.
Mm,
It's not like we shouldn't
mm,
pour our hearts out. And I think that the pouring out energy needs to be listened to. And
yeah,
then it's more like damage control. You know, you pour out in a safe way to the safe person. Maybe not in the moment to the person that's going to set off World War III or something. So there's the working together with the inner ones to give that little one a safe place to pour out.
right. I think this is the process of towards being able to stand it. And I like how both of you put it. So there's not one ideal, ideal way to be at all. Not one is better than the other. And fitting in too, people may need that for a while to feel secure enough. You know?
Another thing that came up for me was
Who's this? Oh, Dorothy.
June.
Yeah.
Another thing that came up for
Oh,
me
June. Yeah.
was that in some of the situations where I felt it was hard to stand it, was that I was co-creating. That word came up. I had co-created the situation. And when I understood that I co-created it, my feelings, or strong feelings about the other person, were not as intense, and I could be more present. And
Yeah.
also physically, what came up was shoulders back instead of hunched forward.
Ah. Oh, wow. So you weren't needing to protect yourself so much. And you could come out.
Right. But it was important to understand that it wasn't all about the other person, that
Yeah.
I had co-created it. So that
Yeah.
other person wasn't as quote unquote bad as
Right.
I was making them.
Yes. You know, I was thinking about these feelings of I can't stand it that happen, and how it's not the other person's feelings, and they're not making me feel that. They're my feelings. They're coming from inside me.
Mm.
So I have a big part in my experience.
I I also wanted to say that that co-creating is such an important, empowering kind of
Yeah.
idea, that it isn't my fault or their fault or
Oh, yeah.
they're bad, but what's bad is the dynamic, and somehow that's very empowering when you think maybe it's not going to be empowering if you see your part in it, but it's not a part. It's not like this much as yours. Jean says it's 100% them and 100% me. It's dynamic of the interaction, and to feel that that this what the us is doing
Mhm.
puts a whole different spin on.
Thank you for that. I think that's revolutionary. Then we don't have to go around with the feeling there's something wrong with us. We're bad in some way. I think that's a revolutionary way of looking at it, Lynn.
Well, and I took it from June. Yes.
Thank you, June. Yeah.
Susan,
Anybody?
I found it so helpful, Susan, that you had us standing and being in our bodies. It just shifted so much for me. And, you know, one of my issues is actually my conversation was with myself and the thoughts that I have when I wake up in the morning, and how I can be a very big energy that I feel fighting something in me. And in the process of standing up, when this image came up, at first, like it was this reaction, I don't want you, I don't want these thoughts, and a real strong pushing away. And then it's like my body spoke for me, and like I became taller, and my, my arms opened up, and I stood up more strongly. And then what came is this like embracing, like standing like a tree, like embracing a a tree with a big trunk. And that was me. And then what came is my hands just came together in more of a that's okay feeling. I can hold your hand in this. It was just amazing. All these just movements, just boom, boom, boom. It felt really good. So thank you.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Stephanie, hello.
Hey, hi Susan, hi everyone. And thank you, Dorothy. You said, first it was like internal, or waking up with something inside. In the beginning, I felt this churning and this kind of wrestling with it, like almost digesting it and finding it was more inside. And then it changed all of a sudden, and it actually was more something which I had not an opposition, but a different relationship outside with. And it was not so much internal. And in the end, I actually felt moved to change my standing position with something. It was more like, it was not so much inside, but it was more in a relationship. I could find a different way to stand with it. If that makes sense.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, I love the standing with it. which feels different than standing it.
Yeah. Yes, it's more relating and
Yeah, and I felt more with myself. I felt more in peace. It was not this inner
yeah,
struggle.
Hmm.
yeah. Wow. Is there anybody else wants to say anything? Bob?
These are all such great comments. So in my experience, it was difficult to stand it. And then as I stayed with that, the next thing I noticed is I began to want to get underneath it. I began to want to get to know what that person is fearing, what that person is driving that point of view, which I initially found repugnant. But if I stay with what's driving it in that person, then I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That was my experience.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you could get curious too if you stayed long enough with it.
Yeah. I like the getting underneath it. What's
Yeah. So if nobody else is
I
gonna
could share
speak,
something if nobody else wants to
no,
go.
great.
I with continuing with my burning torch, my entire torso was like this hot, violently energetic burning torch, and kind of like my pelvis was like the handle. And there was an aggression, right? Particularly with the right hand to just pound somebody like into a pulp. And with that came the awareness or the knowledge that it was, I didn't get what I wanted, was driving that. Tremendous aggression. I didn't get what I wanted. And as I stayed with that, the energy, because this is all energy going on, the energy moved from the periphery, from this attack, down into the center, inside my body. And there was a very small child there, feeling very unseen and unacknowledged.
Wow. Yeah, that's my response to put my hand here, to acknowledge that child.
I find this really powerful.
Who is this?
This is
Shazzy?
Sophie. Hi, Suzanne. We were in our breakout room last.
Oh, Sophie.
Yeah. I find this really powerful, and I go into what could happen if people who are making worldwide decisions could be with this standing it, not standing it for a while,
Yeah.
Just be curious with the rapport, the relationship with that. And I think this could change the world,
Yeah.
the reactivity.
Yeah. Right.
Wow.
This is
Yeah.
really about working with that on the most fundamental level.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah. We need to focus on those UN peace, whatever political talk, right?
So Lynn,
Oh,
Lenore, yeah.
um, I also, when you gave the intention of bringing in spaciousness, that really helps too, giving space, feeling, and also giving kindness and compassion to those places that to want to soften it, even if
Mm.
it's not totally road, is to soften that place.
Yeah.
Because the spaciousness really helps too.
Well, you know, thanks for noting the kindness and compassion too, because I think that has to be part of standing it. That we have compassion for how hard it is for us and for other people. Some of the things we have to stand are, you know, beyond words.
Right.
That certainly deserve our tenderness, our understanding. Thanks. Anybody else?
Well, that was my experience, following from what Lenore said, because I went from trying to the energy of trying to protect myself to the energy of wanting to take care of myself. And it was a real subtle shift.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a natural boundary.
Yeah. It's lovely.
Okay, I think it's time for our breakout rooms. And Christine is going to put us in rooms of 3. And we'll come back together at 9:30. We'll have about 25 minutes, and each person can share something about not being able to stand it or standing it, or whatever comes to you about this subject, standing with it, what we're standing on, getting under it, all of those good things in this topic. Is that right, Susan? Any particular instructions?
That's right. No instructions.
And maybe paying particular attention to helping each other to stand it in the way that we're listening to each other, giving each person a chance. But then Christine will give us, Christine, maybe give us 6 minutes warning. And in those 6 minutes, we'll talk about the experience together of being together with this subject of standing it, of how the group is standing it. Okay?
Okay, so the rooms will close at 9:30 and you need a 6-minute.
Yeah, 6-minute warning to talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. We'll see you back at 9:30. And if you do have to leave, don't accept your room. Welcome back, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Hi. Welcome back, Susan. So let's take a couple of breaths and then see what you'd like to share from your breakout rooms.
Well, I'll go if just
Oh,
to
you're so brave. Yes, go.
I just want to say I was very grateful to be in the room I was in with Sophie at first, just the two of us. So we did the first half in French. So that was a bonus.
Oh.
And then our dear Frida was, catapulted into our room. And it was great to have her as well, to see her again. And I want to say that having listened to, first of all, to the sharings before going into the breakout rooms and then in our room, that my process moved forward. And Stephanie, hi Stephanie in New York. Yes, what you had said also helped me, because there was something about being able to take a distance from my pouring out, and knowing that I can make time and space for the pouring out, and only when I've taken care of that will I be able to take care of the relating with this other person. So it was, the process moved forward from the beginning this morning until now. So thank you, Susan, Lynn, and everyone in my room. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And apologies to Frida that we didn't mention that daylight savings time. So Frida was an hour late.
Yeah, I'd just like to say something. It's Dominic. I came in late again because of the daylight saving, but I came in the exercise, so I did get part of the exercise. But there's just one thing that came up, which in my group, I guess it was something particularly for me. I was with Vivian and Lenore. It was wonderful. The challenge for me is recognizing when I'm in the state when I need to practice this. It's like that first stage really of recognition, because I'm so flooded very often with feelings, particularly with my partner. You know, if there's something really difficult going on, just to somehow to be able to know that I need to step back.
Yes.
And take care of the situation rather than just, plow on and so on. So, yeah.
I think that is such an important part of this whole process, is that it's so instinctive to either withdraw or to retaliate, or what we feel is retaliating, to stick up for ourselves, to go, and recognize, I'm in a state here, and I need to take some breaths and take care of myself first, before I can stand this. That's most of the process. What do you have to say about that, Susan?
I don't know. I agree with you that that's the work with oneself, to be able to let in and relate rather than being swamped or, pushing it away. We were talking about that in our group. Stephanie, I think, was talking about how it's a change of energy she felt when she was doing this exercise, and it was like inside her. She was too close, I guess, to relate. Maybe Stephanie should talk. Where are you, Stephanie?
Yeah, at first I felt it was like, actually I shared initially after authorities sharing, waking up and having it inside and wrestling with it. And then that shifted into something which was I could relate to. It was not so an internal wrestling and churning. And there was a shift then. And then there was even another shift where first I wrestled with it, not internally, but outside, but then I could find a relationship to it and a stance to it. So it's a process. And what I also understand now, it is that parts of this process can go, it's the whole dance. It's the churning and the relating and the finding a position. It's probably fluid and ongoing.
Yes.
Yes, somebody said in my group that it was remembering that I don't want to be like I was or like I have been in the past. I don't want to be that person that I have been in the past in terms of retaliation or whatever. That I found that very helpful.
It is helpful. I feel that too.
I want to
And that's
mention,
something-
oh, sorry, Suzanne, I cut you off.
No,
Go ahead.
I was just saying, for me, it's something to hold on to when, when it's very hard, and to say, I don't want to do that. I don't have 1,000 years ahead of me either. So sorry, was it June? Were you talking?
No, Sophie.
It was,
Sophie.
yes, Sophie. Well, I wanted to bring I don't know how to describe it actually. I had a sense of verticality when we were standing, and when we were with this standing it, and what I was standing it, and it reminded me of a book on spiritual aging that I'm reading, and this man talking about time being thinking of time as vertical instead of the way we think of time as horizontal, with the past, present, future, but thinking of the verticality of being with the verticality instead of, and that felt like, for me, it was that to be with the not standing it with the standing it energy, this vertical energy, open to shifting the energy and also embracing it and softening with it, which then changed my whole perception of it, but also attitude and then action.
Who wrote that, Sophie? We were talking about doing an aging group.
Oh,
Who wrote that? Who wrote the book?
Oh, I can't remember, but I'll find it for next time.
good, good. Yes, not being able to stand the not standing it is, yes, quite another thing. I think also for me, recognizing what something means to me, when I can remind myself, oh, this is a big thing for me, whatever it is. It may seem like a small thing to someone else, and I can't stand it. And oh, I've been dealing with this my whole life. This is an instance of one of those, and somehow reminding myself this is one of those primary issues that this is bringing up, this is triggering, sort of helps me to recognize the importance of it, rather than saying, oh, this is a little thing, what's wrong with you that you're making such a big fuss about it.
I wanted to share something that came up for me. I really like this topic so much. But besides recognizing that we have this duality that we struggle with and learning how to address it in our practice, I think for me what came up, there was like a practical suggestion of how I could handle a difficult situation. And that was also very helpful. So I think in addition to practicing the self-compassion and understanding the dynamics, sometimes we also need some practical, concrete suggestions to help us negotiate a difficult situation.
Absolutely. One of the things that we didn't mention about this paper is a favorite part of it to me is Jean sort of reflecting on how we, in these moments when we can't stand it, we want the other person or the other people to fit us better, to fit us right. And it is right that we don't want them to be this way that hurts us. And yet we know it's not right with a kind of a smile, because some part of us knows that it can't be the way that we want it to be. And somehow that he's saying, which is, I find inspiring, Jean is saying, that he would rather have the other person or the other people really be their real selves than to somehow have to fit with him, that he wants to be curious about this real other person that he's encountering. And I find that very inspiring. And I sometimes think of it in those moments like, oh, can I really want this other person to be their real selves? And what's there in them that this is appearing in this way?
It's like another kind of standing it, but a wanting. It's not just you can
wanting
bear it, but there's a finding something good in it, or
right,
something.
Right, something that we want in the not want. Like everything in us doesn't want it, and then finding something that we can want truly about the challenge of it, or about what it can do.
Yeah, isn't that the evolution? I mean, because we don't start like that.
Right.
The us don't.
Right. I think it's time for Dorothy's poem, but might be time for one other comment. Do we have one other comment before we have Dorothy's poem?
So I'd love to say that what I got from what I just heard is that when we can stand with ourselves through a difficult moment, then we're able to stand with others through theirs.
Oh, wonderful. That's a wonderful last comment.
And that relates so much to what Goja shared in our breakout room. So thank you, Goja.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're ready for Dorothy's poem.
And I just say, I thank you all. I mean, I've gotten so much from all of you. It was so nice to be able to do this with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan. Great time.
Thank you. The poem today is from John O'Donohue. To Bless the Space Between Us is the name of his book. I put it in the chat, and the poem is for the angels. May the angels in their beauty bless you. May they turn toward you streams of blessing. May the angel of awakening stir your heart to come alive to the eternal within you, to all the invitations that quietly surround you. May the angel of healing turn your wounds into sources of refreshment. May the angel of the imagination enable you to stand on the true thresholds at ease with your ambivalence and drawn in new direction through the glow of your contradictions. Through the glow of your contradictions. May the angel of compassion open your eyes to the unseen suffering around you. May the angel of wildness disturb the places where your life is domesticated and safe. Take you in the territories of the true otherness, where all that is awkward in you can fall into its own rhythm. May the angel of Eros introduce you to the beauty of your senses, to celebrate your inheritance as a temple of the Holy Spirit. May the angel of justice disturb you to take the side of the poor and the wronged. May the angel of encouragement confirm you in worth and self-respect, that you may live with the dignity that presides in your soul. May the angel of death arrive only when your life is complete and you have brought every given gift to the threshold where the infinity can shine. May all the angels be your sheltering and joyful guardians.
Wow. Thank you.
Wow.
You, Dorothy.
Powerful.
All the angels.
Thank
Well,
you.
Week, everybody.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you
Bye.
very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Lynn. Thank you,
Thank
Susan.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Nancy.
Goodbye.